Alright, so real quick, just got back from Georgia Bushcraft last night. Worked on unpacking gear this morning, putting everything away. And while I was getting lights out to make sure all my batteries were topped off and charged, thought I would do a quick overview on how I go about cleaning my lights. I like to do this every, I don't know, once or twice a year. Doesn't really have to be often, and it depends on what you're doing, you know. If you're an office EDC type guy, you're probably not getting a lot of stuff in there. If you're grease monkey, you may need to clean more often. But the gist of it is, you're gonna need some rubbing alcohol. You need some Vaseline, petroleum jelly, whatever. No, it does not matter on the strength of the alcohol. Just some alcohol. Some Q-tips. So what I like to do is take your battery out. The battery's already out of this one. You're gonna have your contacts right in here. All the copper and silver brass areas. Your threads. And then down inside your battery tube is not as big of an issue. It's nice if you can take the tail cap off and clean all of it. This LD30 you cannot, as the tail cap is sealed to the body, so you can't do that. But if you can take yours off, it's nice to be able to pull it off and do the same thing you're fixing to see down here. But really, it's not too big of a deal. Most of your stuff is going to be on the head where the battery twists to the driver, especially if you don't have dual springs. So therefore, like this one here, your battery's going to sit right up against your driver board. If you have dual springs and you've got a spring on the driver board, like what is in the tail switch here in this LD30, you can see that down in there. If you've got a spring like that, it's not as bad because you don't have the battery making direct contact here and letting stuff build up. You can kind of see those black rings on there. But what you're going to do, and the number of Q-tips you need is going to vary depending on how dirty your light is. But just wet your Q-tip with some alcohol and then start going around inside, cleaning these contact surfaces. You can already see real quick the stuff that's come off. And what happens if you don't do this, you can notice some intermittent issues, especially if you've got one that requires the head to be loosened or tightened to change modes or outputs of in any manner. A lot of times, if you get dirt built up in there, it'll increase the electrical resistance. Therefore, it'll think it's trying to change modes and will cause you to start having some glitches and it operate better. So you can already see how much stuff has come off of just cleaning that. This also just helps extend the life of your light. You know, anytime it's clean and it's not having to work harder because of that resistance, it's better. Not as much likely to wear it out. Get something in there and possibly short it out across the battery. So it's always good to keep it clean like that. And then on top of cleaning the contacts there, just make sure you go around your threads real good. And that's the big thing. You want to make sure you get the threads good and clean, especially where the O-ring on the body seats. So you've got your O-ring right here. You want to make sure you get that good and clean. To ensure that you've got good waterproof seal. You don't want it to be cut or snagged. So clean inside the head here real good. And again, just use a Q-tip with some alcohol on there and press it in there and go around. I've used cotton rounds like the makeup disc, but what you end up with there is a lot of fibers left over. You can do this with a microfiber cloth if you've got small enough fingers to get down in there. But wet your Q-tip. And just go around your threads like that. So, pretty clean. Nothing's coming off there. So now we'll do our body. We want to make sure we clean around the surface here. That's where your current's going to flow. It's going to make contact for your ground circuit. So clean that. And again, just around the threads and your O-ring. Once it's all dry, or clean. You can let it sit and blow off. Take your hands, just kind of dry it off. Check your O-ring. Make sure you don't have any damage to it anywhere. And sorry guys that this is being filmed in portrait mode. I should have done landscape, but I was trying to make it a reel. I didn't expect it to turn into a 5-minute video. So, and then just take a little bit of Vaseline. Does not take much. Just take a little bit, dab on your threads. Just run around there. This just helps so you got good smooth threads. Keeps your O-ring lubricated so that it doesn't rip. And that it seals good. Check your head again real good. Make sure there's nothing down in there. And then you're good to go. My battery's on the charger, so I don't have to show it to you. But you can thread that on there. You'll probably feel a noticeable difference in the quality of the threads. A lot of times lights that don't get cleaned, they'll be pretty grindy sounding, metal on metal, be rough feeling. Work that in there a few times. Make sure you get that petroleum jelly worked in there good. And then good to go. And that's cleaning it. Same thing with a headlamp. You know, same essential thing. It's going to be a little bit different depending on your headlamp model. You may have to get some longer Q-tips or come up with something else. But just want to try to clean down in there. This one's not got a whole lot of area on it. But what you can see is right here around the battery tube, I've got a lot of oxidization on the aluminum pot end there. And debris. Which is probably honestly to be more expected because this headlamp gets used in a lot rougher shape than my handheld does. Environment, so we'll just take it. Go right around here, clean this up real good. And a lot of times too, it's a good idea to check your O-rings and change them. I know Phoenix sends spare O-rings with their lights. Look how much stuff's coming off of that one. So, want to just keep it clean. Now, you don't want to use anything real harsh. You don't want to use brake clean, even though, I mean, I've washed the outside of my lights off with it. I won't use brake clean inside the lights. I don't want to risk it damaging the epoxy in the drivers or anything like that. Eating away the circuit board. And if you do use brake clean as well, it usually doesn't hurt the acrylic lenses, but just be mindful of them, you know. Don't like soak them in there. Spray it down, sure, but I definitely wouldn't use an extreme amount of harsh chemicals directly on it, you know. Spray them down at a distance or wipe it down, but don't just right on it. You can do Dawn and water, that'll work as well, but alcohol just works. I prefer alcohol because it evaporates a lot quicker. You don't have to worry about a residue with it or anything, and it'll help break down greases and anything like that that's built up. So these, as you can see, these threads are pretty dirty, which is to be expected. This headlamp gets used a lot in mechanic work. There's a lot of grease and oil down in there. But I won't bore you all with cleaning up all of that spick and span. That's just the gist of it. Make sure you clean it, check your O-rings, and help extend the life of your light. A lot of times this might rectify little issues you're having. If it's not changing modes smoothly, it's kind of glitching on that, or you're noticing some flickering when it's never flickered before, keeping it clean like this is always a good option. So, there was an unplanned 10-minute flashlight cleaning video. Hope it helps. Y'all have a good one. Keep your knives sharp and your lights charged, guys. Thanks.